Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, the radio show all about traveling like a boss by being your own boss. Stay tuned for weekly interviews featuring guests that have built their own online businesses. If you would like to have access to our entire back catalog, visit travellikeabosspodcast.com for instant access. And here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey everyone, this is Johnny and welcome to episode 129 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. Back in Chiang Mai and I'm here with Harold Ho. What's up, buddy?
Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm excited to be back in Chiang Mai after a crazy 4 months in Europe. So I want to talk about that, but first let's talk about how we met and why you're here in Chiang Mai.
So yeah, we met roughly an hour and a half ago now. We were at Pun Space, saw Johnny, thought I had to introduce myself, and then he asked me to go eat lunch with him and kind of just told him my story. And here we are. Do you want me to just go?
Well, actually, you know what? First off, let me apologize to everyone for not having an episode for the last 2 weeks. I normally never try to miss a week. It happened before over Christmas. I was in South Africa, and this time it was mainly because I brought all my recording setup with me on the cruise, and I thought, man, there's gonna be so many people here to record episodes with. I have all this free time. It's gonna be cool. But I could not find a single person to do an episode with. And I wrote about it. So if you guys check out johnnyfd.com, my latest blog post is like 12 days on a celebrity cruise ship. So you guys can see everything I did there. And I'm gonna talk about that a little bit more later on. But there's a huge difference between like the mindset and the community of people that you meet while in places like Chiang Mai as you do pretty much anywhere else in the world. And it's crazy. So before we get to that, where are you from and why are you in Chiang Mai?
Yeah, so like Johnny said, my name's Harold Ho. I'm from California, Bay Area. So pretty much was working full time, doing, basic service jobs, being a waiter, barista, going to school full time. I was in the middle of applying to university in Seattle. Pretty much just got burnt out, figured that it wasn't the life for me, working these many hours a day. Yeah, sure, I'd make more money. But I don't know, I just couldn't find time in the weeks anymore and started to look for different options in life, and I came across, almost got caught into the whole MLM scheme, and that's where I read Robert Kiyosaki's book about Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it was like the first time I've heard anything about passive income, being able to free up your time, and that's something that really resonated with me. Long story short, I knew the MLM thing was kind of like a scam for me, so I just went on the internet and just started searching up things. Yeah.
That's cool that it led you here because it's one of those things. I think I would say the only positive thing about MLM, but the reason why I wouldn't do it is it's for people who are self-starters that want a different alternative to make money instead of having like a normal job. Yeah. And they want to be their own boss. They want to be an entrepreneur. And unfortunately, MLM companies know that, so they sell people on that idea of being your own boss, working from home. The only problem with MLMs is there's no actual product.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're not like I think if a company like, let's say Apple, right, that has a good product, if they, instead of doing like the normal advertising techniques, they used network marketing to sell Apple products, it'll probably be fine because at the end of the day, people have a great product they really like. And I think that's why some of the makeup brands, I don't even know what they're called,
like
but
Mac and I don't know, just Sephora.
Well, I don't think those, because those have retail stores, but like the ones that only sell through network marketing, like Mary Kay, I think those do okay because there's an actual product that people want, and I don't know anything about their products. I don't know if it's overpriced or if it's anything about it, but I assume it's like a decent product, probably comparable to the other ones you buy in a store.
Yeah, and people actually use it.
People will actually use it. Yeah. So in those cases, like that network marketing works. Yeah. But the problem with most 99% of MLM things is the product itself either doesn't exist at all, and you're just selling the idea of other people being under you, or their product fucking sucks, and it's just an overpriced thing that the only reason people are buying is because you're convincing your friends to buy.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, I think I almost got caught in the reason why I almost got caught into it is because where I was at in my life at the time, I was so burnt out. I was just trying to look for a way out, and the good thing I did a little bit more research about it because I knew something didn't feel right with me. And then I knew about MLM before, but I think a lot of times that even though they're aware of it, if they're in that state of mind where they just need to find a way out, anything's a viable option. But I
like it, and I think that's why I like meeting people through this podcast and interviewing them about like all these different ways to make money online that actually work.
Yeah.
You know, and what's funny is so you like with David Vu, remember, I don't know if you listened, did you listen to that episode?
I think
The first one.
the first one, yeah.
That was when I was like skeptical of him still. I was like, I don't know if this eBay arbitrage thing works, you know, but I've read enough things about him and his program. I was like, it seems like the students that are saying that they're making money from it are legit. So let me get this guy on the show and let me like pick his brain. And to me, it's one of those things where most of the time, I'll say like 99% of my guests are people that I've already met in person. I already know they're legit, so I just want them to share the story.
Yeah.
But it's also cool to have people like him on where I'm like a little bit unsure, and then I'm like, okay, let me like find out if he's legit. So I talk to someone for an hour, I can guarantee that I can figure out they're legit or not.
Yeah, definitely. Just to verify, you know, what they're talking about, so what actually, like what they preach is what's real. Yeah.
So I'm happy that I was able to share that, because then people like you found it. And then what have you been doing with his course?
Yeah, so pretty much I actually signed up for the course around last year. So gives a little backstory. I actually came out to Chiang Mai last year pretty much when I found Johnny's page, and then I just pretty much followed his guide to, you know, start with dropshipping. Long story short, didn't really work out too well for me. At the end of my visa trip, I signed up for his course. It was, I think, on sale. And that's when I actually saw I saw that, oh, this could work. And from then on, I had to go back home. I had some personal issues I needed to take care of. But I had my store pretty much coasting around like $100 a sale a month. And, you know, I didn't really work on it. And I think that verified that this worked kind of thing.
I like it. So let's talk a little bit about like when you were here in Chiang Mai last time. How long were you here for?
So I was here for roughly 2.5 months.
Okay.
So running on like that 3-month visa.
So you got a dropshipping store up and running, but you had some complications with it. What did we learn from that?
Yeah, so I think it was mainly the main issues were the timing and also the niche I was in. So like I said, I started around October, November, like right during the peak of selling, just like the whole holiday season, and I was just getting my store out there, got my suppliers and everything. But the niche I chose, it was really like during this time, it was just really competitive, and all the like marketing wise is like, you know, doing AdWords and PLAs was costing too much, and I wasn't seeing as much of a return. And yeah, that's like, those were the main issues. And like a lot of my items because I didn't know, you know, keeping up with suppliers, the tracking and all like the inventory stocks. So I just had a lot of mistakes that first like 2 months, and it was just, yeah.
So what advice to people who like want to get started? Christmas time is one of those buying frenzies where if you have a store set up, it could be very profitable that month because tons of people are buying stuff. And when I say Christmas, I don't mean like on Christmas. I mean like the couple of weeks or a couple of months before that, when people are like starting to shop for gifts. But the problem with it is people, especially after Black Friday, they are just clicking every ad trying to find the best price because they're used to these sales, and then people are just like, your advertising just goes crazy. So if someone is just starting, then they have to have their funnel and the inventory like super tight, or it's kind of like getting thrown in like
exactly
to
that's
the
pretty
middle.
much pretty much the middle of the ocean. You don't know where to go, because I think if I were to do it again, I would start probably, if you're planning on doing this around like the holiday season, I would probably give yourself start during the summer months, just so you can test out the waters, trying to go through the motions of like building your store, creating that sales funnel, just learning the business. Because, you know, you just having the store built up is just not even, it's just like, that's like the starting point. You know, there's a lot of things that come up as you have a store running business. It's not, I mean, it can be a semi-passive income, but for the first couple months you have to treat it as a business. And so just have something set up a little bit before then, and then, you know. Yeah,
I think that would definitely be the best advice. My only fear of recommending that is people put it off. They're like, oh, well, you know, like it's another excuse for people.
Exactly. What I would say is just have it be a goal. Like for me now, with currently on the David Vu's dropshipping course, my goal is to have pretty much everything set up by like the end of October, just right before, you know, the holiday season, like the peak of the season. Because I've had my store running now for a while now, but I've been taking serious over the summer months and learned things here and there, and just having it set up. Like,
I like it. But so you're already making money now from that, right?
Yeah. So right now, I mean, I just started to see some sales like some actual traction past month after I've been like, since here I got to Chiang Mai, I'm around 300 and it's like halfway point of the month. So I should be around 600 by the end of the month.
Nice,
so,
buddy.
Yeah,
and that's that magic number to live in Chiang Mai.
Exactly. Just once you get there, it's just up from there, anywhere.
So why do you think that being in Chiang Mai, do you think it's just happened that, what do you call it? Is it a coincidence that you're in Chiang Mai and your profit went up? Or do you think being here, something about being here has brought that up?
For me, my personal case is, I think the main reason first is the fact that I kind of found that I failed the first time I came out here, and this is my second time going around, so it just gave me that much more of a motivation to really make it work. And with the atmosphere in Chiang Mai the first time, I think I was secluding myself too much. I was just grinding away. I wasn't really networking with anyone, I was just trying to like make a name for myself first. But I think being here the second time, I've met some people. I've even created a mastermind, and just having that sense of community is really beneficial to like just working on your business.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of being here. Let's try not to tap on the table because I think people will get annoyed on it. But I think you creating that mastermind. So two things I want to congratulate you with. All right, first is coming back and trying it again, because even though you were only here for a couple months, and to me that I never want to consider anything a failure, especially if you actually try and you do it. So it sounds like you went through the process of learning how to build a store and upload products. You got approved by suppliers, you even made some sales, and then you had all the hiccups with the inventory issues over Christmas, paying too much for ads and things like that. But to me that's a success, because not a success, but it's a learning experience.
Exactly.
I think the success is you saying, let me sit down, let me figure out what have I learned, what can I do differently, and you came back and you're like, and now you're profitable. And to me that's amazing, because how many people will just give up and say, oh man, this doesn't work, or it's not for me, or people have another excuse.
I think that's why I said I thank Johnny for a lot for that, because I remember I was when I first started looking into Johnny's stuff, he was making around like 5,000, and over the months it just pretty much just went up from there. And I figured if I fail now, I mean, it's not gonna really show anything for it. You really have to just, it's more of like a marathon and then anything, so I just figured if I just keep at it long enough, I'd start to see some progress.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome how where you've come from so far. But I have a feeling that next year, I think this should be the goal. Next year, especially if you're still in Chiang Mai, but maybe out in Europe or somewhere, I want to follow up with you and see what you're doing. So I really have a feeling you're going to crush it.
Yeah, no, I know. I can really almost taste it now. Like, this is just like a little bit more, just get to over that one hurdle, just like being able to sustain your living in Chiang Mai. I think once you get to that point, you pretty much can grow. Like, growth is just a viable option for anyone.
So I'm sure you were making a lot more money serving at the sushi restaurant and bartending. Being barista at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Versus the money that you're making now online. But what's the difference? How does it feel collecting that Starbucks check versus when you make money through your online income?
Yeah. So I think I can remember it clearly when it was I think last summer, I was making enough money where I could be going out. I had time, I had money to spend, but I just didn't have the time, and I was just so burnt out from work. And I realized that as I spent, I made more, I'd spend more, or I just didn't have time to spend. And I realized it was not working out for me. So I think that that's when I pretty much just sent my resignation, and just I promised myself that was going to be the last job I ever had, and whatever money I make now is going to be my own money, and it's going to be on my own time. So yeah, that's just.
I like it. I think that's a good way to think about how much you're actually making. Like Robert Kiyosaki in Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah. If you guys haven't read that, definitely recommend it. But one thing he talks about is the difference between wealth and, let's say, and money, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you have a normal job and you're making $3,000 a month. But let's say you're working online and let's say you're making $1,000 a month, right? So you're making 3 times as much working at a normal job. But here's the way to actually kind of calculate how much that's actually worth is minus all of your expenses, and then put that in one column, and then also put down how much free time that you actually have. And then I'll say another column, put down how many of the hours worked did you enjoy, or were they going towards something bigger in the future? All right. So I guarantee that if it was a normal job, 99% of people have back home, the number of hours out of those, let's say 40 hours that they really enjoyed, or that was really going towards building more income for the future for them, is probably pretty low.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're working, you know, as a server and as a barista, like how many of those 40 hours were you like, this is awesome, so happy being here?
Yeah, so like at first when I was like, you know, getting a lot of tips, making money, it felt good. But then after a while, it was just like, it wasn't worth it, because after work I would be so tired I couldn't even like, I just like crashed in bed, and the next day it would just be rinse and repeat kind of thing. And yeah, I had more money, but I was living in Seattle spending $600 a month on just rent and didn't really have time
Like
for
not
anything.
having like your own apartment either.
Yeah, I was sharing it with like 10 other people, and it was just
No,
it was because the house is there. It was in the university area of the college, and it was just like college kids, just 10 random people. I just like found it on Craigslist, and it was just like we all shared 2 bathrooms, and it was just it was not a fun
that's insane.
experience.
Because for like pretty much half of that, you can have your own studio here.
Yeah.
With your own bathroom, with some privacy.
Yeah, and the place I'm at is pretty much bigger than the room I had back in Seattle. It's quick internet, free water, just paid electricity, and it costs, I think, just $100. It's like, you know,
That's more than 100.
it's more than 100, but like, I mean, the base rent is pretty much just $100.
That's
But yeah.
insane. Okay, so what are your living expenses here in Chiang Mai?
So I'm right now, I haven't checked, but like so far managing, I mean, I've been eating Thai food for the most part. Been eating Western probably during the weekends. I'm managing around like $500 $600 a month just living out here in Chiang Mai, which is pretty much just my rent back in Seattle. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the math for everyone, right? Is if you're making $3,000 a month, but then your expenses are, you know, like are close to that, like that money left over, that's what you're actually earning. Like that's actually, you know, that's your wealth at the end of the month. That's your net wealth at the end of the month. So if you're making less than that, or your expenses are higher, you know, most people, I think, like their net wealth at the end of the month is like $200.
Yeah.
Like, that's what goes into savings, right?
yeah.
And then number of hours that you actually enjoyed working, you know, in the beginning, yeah, I for me too, like when I have a new job, I'm pretty excited, you know, but then after that, you know, the number of hours I'm actually enjoying being there is very, very few. But then most importantly, the number of hours I'm like investing into something else in the future, either like I'm learning a new skill, or I'm building an asset that I can either teach later on, or I can use that to turn into something else. Like when I'm like what you're doing now, working for yourself, pretty much 100% of those hours, you're either learning something or you're building something that you could sell later, or you could do something with later.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like my lifestyle from when I was working just a regular 9 to 5 is not really that much different than now, because I'm right now in the process of just grinding out a business. But the fact that I'm building an asset where I eventually want to be outsourcing this, I'll be making the same amount of money, but just not having those hours anymore. So just think of it as just you're still just working, but it's
and you can't outsource being a barista.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just have someone like, oh yeah, can you work for me here and just give me the money? It's like,
you know, you can find another Asian guy that looks like you.
No, exactly.
And just
have
pay him a
just
little bit less.
Pay him a little less. Just say, hey, yeah, just this is how you make a cup of coffee. But yeah, it's been great. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So, man, I've only been back in Chiang Mai literally for a day. I just got back yesterday morning, and already I love it. Like, it's that feeling. I can't explain it.
Yeah, and it was weird because I remember during your podcast in Europe, you were saying, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna start getting tired of Chiang Mai, seeing, you know, just like all these other places. But now that you come back, it's just like it's so hard to leave, you know?
Yeah, my plan was to go back to Europe in February, right when probably like February 15th, right? Mm-hmm. So the next Nomad Summit is February 3rd. If you guys want to come out to that in Chiang Mai, details later on. Like, I don't know, I'll probably have details later.
Next year.
Next podcast maybe. Yeah. But after that, I was going to just go back to Europe and stay in Europe the whole year. My plan was like, you know what? Love Europe. So many beautiful everything there.
It's like everything.
You know? And I was like, I love it. But man, like I got back to Chiang Mai and instantly there's no stress. Everything is just easy. People are so nice.
Yeah.
The pace of life is slower.
Yeah.
I went and I came back to a completely empty apartment, so I had to buy all new stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to the market and I bought all like a huge, like 2 bags worth of vegetables I couldn't even carry for like $3. It was 100 baht.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got my haircut for $2, and then I got my oil change on my motorbike for like, you know, $5. And I think the whole day I spent like $10, and I have enough food now to eat for like a few days. My hair is cut, my oil is changed, like everything's taken care of.
Yeah, that's the thing with Chiang Mai. It's so easy. I mean, it might be even too easy to live in, which is, could be a pro and a con, I think, for a lot of people trying to get into this lifestyle. Because I remember when I first came in, it was just so easy to like, let me just take a rest day. You know, it's so easy. I don't need to really work today. So I think when you come here, you really have to have that mindset. And I think the community really helps just being on that, you know, work mindset for, you know.
I like it. And that's why I was going to say that the second thing I'm really proud of you for is not only coming back and doing it again, but forming your own mastermind.
Yeah.
Like, because nobody did the work for you. You were the one to be like, oh, you know what, this will benefit me. Let me find other people doing the same thing. Like, how did you start it and what was your reasons?
Yeah. So it was actually, I was thinking of a mastermind, of creating a mastermind for this group because I was just coming with so many issues that it was starting to get hard for me to, you know, progress further because I was just getting stuck on these like issues that just, I don't know, was inhibiting me from any growth. And I think David just he uploaded a new part of the course where like they had a potluck and they were just talking about how a lot of the successful members were creating masterminds. And I thought it would be a great idea, especially since I'm in Chiang Mai. And right after that post, a bunch of people were trying to create masterminds. And someone from Chiang Mai actually posted saying Chiang Mai mastermind wanted. And then I met this guy, Matt, from Ireland, and we just linked up and then just asked other people. And now we have a pretty solid group. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 so far. And from there, it's just been progress every meeting.
Nice. So is this like inside like the discussion board inside the course?
Yeah,
or?
it was in the discussion board. She just posted, mastermind wanted in Chiang Mai. And then I just added him on Facebook. Then we created a group on Facebook and just had some people be added to there. Yeah.
So if you guys are in Chiang Mai, if you guys plan on coming out and they want to reach out to you, like what's the best way?
I'd probably I'm friends with Johnny now on Facebook, so he just added me. So if you just search up Johnny and look for Harold Ho, you should be able to find me.
I'll have a link to it in the show notes. Probably the easiest way.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, even after that, at Pun Space, we met another guy named Freddie. Currently he's doing publishing, but he actually signed up for the course back in during the time I did, and he's just been coasting, and now he's been wanting to like take the store to the next level, and it was just crazy that we just met him like literally the day of our mastermind, and now he's part of it too. So
okay, I like it, man. So what's funny is I was listening to Planet Money. It's another podcast I like, and their latest show was I don't remember the name of it now, but they were talking about this cat rug. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But basically, the title was about like a cat rug, but the owner of it was talking about how these dropshippers were screwing up his business. Have you listened to it?
No. I follow the same podcast, but I haven't checked it.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
It's the one on NPR, right?
Yeah. Let's see if you can find it on your phone as well. But what I like, so basically what it was is people would, basically follow exactly what David teaches.
Yeah.
But I think they were doing it through something called DS domination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that.
Which I haven't been through, but I've heard it's kind of like what David teaches, but with like software you have to subscribe to and then some kind of MLM aspect build it.
Yeah.
So that's why I never recommended the other one. But basically what they do is they find products on Amazon or other places like David does, and then on eBay and sells it on find it on Amazon and it's on eBay. So this cat toy manufacturer was complaining that people would buy it, then they would return it after they found out that it was cheaper on directly through their site, or it would show up in an Amazon box, and then people get pissed off. And this guy, this manufacturer, like chased down these eBay sellers and like try to get them to shut down and stop selling. And then eventually, this guy actually pulled his product off of Amazon because he was so pissed. But I was listening to it, thinking like, man, there's so many easy solutions, right? One is if people are selling it on eBay for $20 more than you're selling it for on Amazon, why don't you just sell it on eBay yourself?
Yeah.
And the second, it clearly shows that people are willing to pay more money for your product. So why don't you just raise the price of your product? And things like little things like that. To me, I'm like, as an entrepreneur, I only see potential, I only see like potential things you can do. While this guy had that scarcity mentality.
Exactly, yeah. And
he was like just complaining, and he was so pissed about it.
Yeah, I guess for a lot of people, it just feels like even though there's like potential for an opportunity, how they see, if you have a scarcity mentality, they just feel like kind of cheated in a sense, and I think they just have too much pride in that.
Yes. So the episode is called Cat Scam, and it was episode 724 of Planet Money. But it also kind of shows how mainstream this is getting, because they interviewed a couple people who were doing really well selling, basically eBay arbitraging. I don't really like calling this, I don't know, I guess it's still technically dropshipping, because you're not physically warehousing the items. You're just like ordering it from a site, not necessarily Amazon, could be Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere else. But it shows that it's working, And it also shows that, to me, it's like one of those things where this actually makes me feel that doing it like Anton's way is actually more viable in the long run.
Yeah.
Because if somebody searches one of their, let's say someone buys something from one of my stores, and they're not going to find it cheaper on Amazon, and they're not going to find it cheaper on directly from the manufacturer, because we're not marking up the price from retail to our price. We're actually just selling it for that same price everyone else is selling it for. Yeah. So I think that's one benefit. It kind of eliminates that arbitrage.
Yeah.
And they're getting it direct from the manufacturer instead of getting it through, let's say, like an Amazon or a Lowe's box. Have you had any issues with that at all with your products?
I've only had like one. But other than that, not really. I've been mainly doing Home Depot, and they don't post any of their invoices in the boxes, so no issues. But there are other students in the course that have come across this issue. I know Walmart, they stopped doing gift invoices, so now everyone can see the prices, and I've seen a lot of people getting returns as of late. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, even if you guys listen to that episode with David, or if you read my review on it on my blog, I kind of warned everyone.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a long-term sustainable solution, but there is money to be made, and it's very easy to start.
Yeah. How I see it is, I'm planning to take a different direction with my business. It's more of like a way to get into dropshipping or just online income with like training wheels in a sense, because you're on someone else's platform just posting up listings and kind of just seeing if something sells. So yeah, it's a great way to start, but long term, I think I see a lot of potential issues that could come across, because I know eBay is currently changing their algorithm like constantly every season. So with any business model that has like on a different platform, there's always this risk and benefits.
Yeah, but even though there's all these downsides, I almost don't see a reason to actually stop, because even if, like, let's say, and it could happen tomorrow, it could happen a year from now, it could happen 2 years from now, even if, like, let's say all that stuff changes, first off, there's always another way, right?
Yeah.
Instead of buying it through Walmart, you can buy it from somewhere else, or you can do, instead of you having it shipped direct from Walmart, you can have it go through somewhere else and have them, reship it, or, whatever it is. There's all these different ways, right? But even if everything like blows up, because you're not buying an inventory up front, you don't lose anything.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's almost no real downside. It's almost like you get bailed out,
Yeah, and like I said, it's like a business with training wheels in that sense. And I think with any business, really, like, things are always going to be changing. The market's always going to be changing. So as an entrepreneur, you need to be on your toes and just be willing to adapt to any change that happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I would say for anyone who wants to get started and have those training wheels, as you say, I think that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And that you're not going to spend, like, let's say 3 months and some money doing it, like, I don't want to say the proper way, but like the more sustainable way.
Yeah.
I'll say just do this. Just start making some money, because I would imagine that the biggest lesson that you got from this, not even just the money you're making, but that confidence that you get knowing I can follow a course, I can do what they tell me, and I can, like, actually see the money coming in.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, that's what worked for me, because how I saw it was like there's not that many variables to fail. It was just mainly have as many listings, make sure they're ranking well, and then from there, just anyone can buy it. And yeah,
I like it. So what are your plans? How long are you staying in Chiang Mai for?
So right now I'm not quite where I want to be as in terms of just money making and business wise, but in the next few months, I'll probably be here till like end of December. That's my goal, to have my business actually completely outsourced by then, because right now I'm in the position of just like growing it as big as I can right now, and then outsourcing it as once I build it to the point where I want it, and then just go on from there, just different ventures.
I like it, man. I like that. So I want to quickly talk about the cruise, because that's basically the last episode. I left you guys in Berlin. I was with my buddy Chris that was traveling. He's back in LA now, but I have a feeling he's gonna come back to Chiang Mai. Yeah. I think everyone does.
You can't stay away from Chiang Mai.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is so I came back yesterday, and then I didn't know who was in town still, because everyone kind of comes and goes, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But it seems like everyone's here. I'm hanging out with my buddy Nick later today. We can do some jiu-jitsu. I saw my buddy Chris Wachu, who's now doing he's getting ready for a retreat with Co-workation in Bali, but he's in Chiang Mai. Stephen Ye still here. There's like and Max, the guy that was part of my mastermind, which we put on pause while I've been away, but I'll probably start it again next month or so.
That's good.
And yeah, everyone's still here. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's just crazy how, like, for me, like, I met these people that just came around the same time I did and then are just happening to do the same thing. I mean, you really cross. I mean, it's the community's small but also like big in a sense. I mean, and the benefit of going to Chiang Mai is like if you're a digital nomad, I mean almost everyone's like heard of Chiang Mai and they always come back just because they know it's the place where all digital nomads meet up.
So I've been looking for an alternative to Chiang Mai. I almost feel like Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
I'm like sailing the ocean, literally trying to find the next, in like India or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever he was looking for, the Spice Islands.
Spice Islands.
I've been trying to find the next like nomad hotspot. So I keep going to the places everyone recommends, right? So I first went to Berlin thinking like, okay, that's always rated like number 2 on all the lists. That has to be the good spot, right?
Yeah.
And I go there and you guys can listen to the last episode, but it's so overpriced. The internet sucks. Like it's cheap. It's the cheapest part of Germany, but that's not saying much. That's like kind of saying like, it's like the, driest part of Seattle, right?
Yeah.
And then someone told me, they're like, okay, the secret spot is Sofia, Bulgaria, and they're like, it's cheap, you have all the stuff. So I went there and I was like, okay, you know what, it's okay, but I think all the people who recommended it are Bulgarian.
Yeah.
So they wanted like a reason, it's
To like give them a little more exposure.
Yeah. So I think people love their home country. It's just kind of like how Filipinos love the Philippines.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you always hear from Filipino people how good their food is. I'm sorry, man.
I'm with you on that. Like, it's funny here when I heard you say that. Like, it's just even how it looks. Sometimes it just, for me, like we have like 2 types of foods, like fried and just anything that's in a pot, pretty much.
With vinegar.
With vinegar, yes. Oh my god.
Who thought of vinegar as a seasoning?
I don't know. It's just, I think, a flavor balance of just because a lot of the Filipino food is like supposed to go good with like drinking beer. I mean, I think the same thing with Vietnamese food because I'm half Filipino, half Vietnamese, and we just like drinking, and then anything food that goes with it, and then just somehow.
I actually like Vietnamese food. The only problem with the Vietnamese food to me is there's only like 10 dishes.
Yeah, it's not even the dishes. It's more like the flavor profile. It's like a similar nuoc mam, the fish sauce kind of flavor, and then just in different variations in that way.
Yeah, like I think like the first 2 weeks you're there, you're like, man, this food is amazing.
Yeah.
And then after 2 weeks, you're like, okay, what else is there?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up on it, and I mean, I have my staples, so that's why I don't get tired of it. But yeah, it's a lot of the food's pretty like the same. Yeah,
I think that's why I like Thai food so much, is because there's so many different herbs, so many different spices that and even curry, right? Instead of having one curry, it's the only country I know where there's like I guess India has different curries too.
India.
But like most of the time, like you have like one kind of sauce, right?
Yeah.
But Thailand, it seems like there's like 50 different types of sauces.
Yes, especially like the northern Thailand, southern, and all these different regions have their own like specialties.
And dude, I miss Thai food so much.
Really?
Like, and it's stupid because I haven't even had Thai food yet. Since you've
been back. Well, I mean, today I wouldn't consider it. Was that Thai food?
It's only been a day. No, today I had we had some noodle soup.
Yeah.
I didn't have the noodles.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah. I mean, it's just pretty much generic like broth soup. So
yeah, I was just broth, some egg. But I gained so much weight in Europe.
Yeah, so that's funny because like summertime is supposed to be like straight up lean cutting time, and then it's like it's your bulking up season.
Dude, because it was not even bulking, it's just getting fat.
Yeah.
Because I was drinking so much beer because I was in like Belgium and like
pretty
Germany.
much all the European countries that just drink.
Yeah, I was eating all this fried schnitzel.
Oh, nice.
Tons of potatoes, everything like in Poland, everything was like potatoes or dumplings.
Yeah.
And then on the cruise, my original plan was. So the main reason why I want to get back in shape is when I go to Hawaii, I know it's a beach,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be like this fat fuck like in in Hawaii. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on this cruise and I'm gonna eat super strict paleo, right? And I know it's everyone's like, oh, it's a stupid idea to go on a diet on a cruise ship, because the food's free. But in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go on a diet, but I'm just not gonna eat any bread or potatoes, or dessert, And I thought 100% like I'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll just order like 2 steaks or something and like some 3 salads or something, right? That lasted about 2 days.
2 days, and then you have
because there's nothing to do on a cruise ship. Like have you been on a cruise?
No.
Okay. So I always dreamed about going on a cruise because I like in my mind it sounds so awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like what do you know about cruising?
I mean, you go on a boat, stuck on a boat for a couple days with this many people, and just you're stuck on a boat.
Yeah, but it's like the benefits of it is like everything's included, right?
Yeah.
So you have all this free food, you have all this entertainment, there's a pool, there's a gym, you know. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna have like 2 steaks, 3 salads for dinner, no dessert. I'm gonna crush at the gym twice a day because there's nothing else to do. And then, you know, like, because, you know, when I go to the buffet, I'm gonna be able to just pick and choose, right? But what happens is you end up sitting at the restaurant for like 2 or 3 hours because there's nowhere to go and you're waiting for the show to start.
Yeah.
You know, and you're with your whole family. In my case, it was my mom, my dad, my sister, my niece, my nephew, my brother-in-law, his parents, my 2 cousins. And you sit at this table and everyone's ordering dessert and everyone's like, oh, try this, try this.
Yeah.
And then you just give in. You're like,
Yeah, I mean, because you're on a cruise, like, you're just trying to chill out. You don't want to be like on some strict routine or anything like that. Just do whatever kind of thing.
And even the gym, at first I was like, okay, you know, I have all this free time, I'm just gonna crush the gym. But the problem is the first couple of days you're kind of like queasy because you're on this boat. You know?
Yeah, like motion sickness.
Yeah, and it's like I don't even get motion sickness because, you know, I worked on dive boats all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't feel like crushing the gym. You know, you go there and you're like, oh man, I want to go like 7 out of 10. You know, like, you know, you don't want to like push it too hard because then you'll throw up.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the gym I was like stretching or like doing like really light weights. You know, like you don't want to like run or I don't know, like you just don't want to like do anything crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then at each port you're like, oh man, I'm only in this country for like 5 hours. I gotta eat the food. You know, you gotta have the gelato when you're in Italy. You gotta have some pizza and pasta. You're in Spain, you have to have some tapas and wine.
Yeah, that's the only thing about like travel where you're only in like a city like a day or like 2 days. It's like you want to maximize that, you know, time there. So just food's like the best thing, you know, to experience a place.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, you know what? When I get back to Chiang Mai, then I'll go on this diet.
Yeah.
So I'm here for 30 days. Probably should have taken a before and after picture, but actually, you know what? I think I have a before picture because I was on a beach in Mallorca.
Yeah.
Which I've never even heard of.
No.
It's Palma de Mallorca. It's like a independent country or island off of Spain. And it turns out it's actually really popular with Europeans. So like Germans and Swedish, like they all go there because it's easy for them.
Yeah.
But I think no Americans I know have heard of it.
Yeah, I've never heard of that place either.
But the biggest benefit of the cruise was it brought me to places that I never would have went to on my own. Because we went to like 6 countries in 12 days. And you know, places like Belgium, I think most people probably, I don't know, I went there once earlier this summer for like the beer and chocolate. But then we went to a different part of it, Bruges, which is pretty cool. And then we went to back to Portugal, to Lisbon. And that was the only place I've been before. And I love Lisbon. So I was able to show like my parents around. And then I think that was the only like day trip I went with them. All the other days I told them, as like, hey, go with my sister, like go on package tour, you know, go on one of these like sightseeing buses where they just like take you around. Yeah, I'm just gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
But in Lisbon, because I've been there, I was able to show them around, show them like the beaches and
basically
everything.
Be their tour guide for the place. Yeah,
and that was fun. My mom actually said that was like the best trip.
Nice.
Out of the 12 that she did. But then the problem is I couldn't do that anywhere else because I didn't know the area.
You didn't know the area.
So that was cool. Saw like this place called Gibraltar, which is in Spain, but it's British.
So is it like owned by the? I don't get it.
It's this like weird thing that happened, I guess, hundreds of years ago, where England, it's like an English territory, and like, but like right next, like inside of Spain.
That's weird. I never heard of a place being inside an actual country.
Yeah, and they're so patriotic about it. So I got there, and there's pictures of it on my blog, but everybody's wearing red and white, which are the colors, and it happened to be like their national day as well. And the whole city is just like people like saying how proud they are to be British.
That's funny. It's like in the middle of Spain.
In the middle of Spain, yeah. Spain actually tried to take them back a few times, and I think every time, I don't think there was like, at least not in recent years, it wasn't like a war or anything.
It was just like more like a political, just banter and just back and forth.
But they failed. So Amsterdam was the first day. I want to say Amsterdam is overhyped.
Is it?
It is nice. I think anyone who's never been anywhere else, or like if you go to Amsterdam, you'll have the time of your life.
Especially if you're into the extracurricular activities they have out there.
Especially if you want to smoke some weed to see the red light district. But I think that like for the money, I would rather take the same amount of money that you would have spent in Amsterdam in like 4 days and be able to travel for 4 weeks in another European city.
Yeah, and in one of those off places that you never heard of kind of place.
Yeah, you know, anywhere in like, let's say like Portugal, like Lisbon or Porto in the north, or anywhere in Poland or Ukraine, you know, these places you can go and you can literally travel for a month for what you would spend in 4 days in Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, all in Europe. It's like the European lifestyle.
And like to me, like place, Amsterdam is beautiful. There's lots to do. It's cool. There's good food, but there's also good food and cool things to do in these other countries.
Yeah.
So I would say that I would skip unless you only had 4 days. But in that case, you probably not listen to this podcast anyways. Belgium was cool for their chocolate and beer. So Spain, have you been to Spain?
No, I've not been to Europe before. No.
So Spain, I actually really like it. I didn't think I would like it because in my mind, Spain was like Barcelona.
Yeah.
And
Madrid.
And I always hear it's overcrowded. There's pickpockets everywhere. Like I hate places like that.
Yeah.
Right. But the places I went to like these smaller like port towns, and I was like, you know what? I think if you go to Spain, you go to the beaches. It's actually really nice. Like it's not too crowded. I didn't have any problems with I didn't see anyone getting pickpocketed or anything. So I think it's very different from like the big cities. Let's see. And I'm just scrolling through my post on johnnyfd.com because I basically daily blogged for 12 days. I was there.
Did you? Oh, did you put on like the YouTube?
I made a couple of videos on my YouTube, but on johnnyfd.com I wrote it. So I'm kind of just scrolling through, trying to remember where I went because there's so many places. But anyways, Mallorca, I think I'm gonna come back there next summer because it is one of the nicest beaches I've been to. Have you been in the beaches down south here?
Yeah, I've been.
Thailand?
Yeah, I've been.
Which ones did you like?
I was, Krabi in Koh Phangan, I think. Yeah, that was it.
So Thailand has amazing beaches, beautiful white sand,
but just like crowded.
You know what? If you think the beaches in Thailand are crowded, man, you would hate a lot of Europe.
Oh, I bet. I mean,
so this place wasn't actually that crowded because it was a weekday in Palma, Mallorca. But it's still, if you look at this photo, there's actually still like quite a bit of people.
Yeah.
I would say I didn't really mind because half the people here were topless girls.
Oh, nice. I mean, yeah, that's all part of the scenery too,
Yeah, so I was like, okay, that's fine. You could sit next to me.
Yeah.
But the water was so clean. There was not a single piece of garbage on the entire beach, which to me is amazing compared to like places like Malaysia or Bali even. Or even Thailand now is getting like a little bit more dirty. So that I really liked. And I really liked how there's nobody on the beach selling anything, but right behind it, there's like shops where you can like buy whatever you want. So I actually went there without even any board shorts, and I had to buy a pair. At one of the shops.
Everything's pretty much like accessible from there. Yeah.
But nobody's like hassling you on the beach. So to me, like that's like the perfect combination, Like some people dream of having like a secluded beach all to yourself with nothing there. But the problem is after like an hour and you're thirsty, you're like, if you didn't bring any water, you're screwed.
Yeah, definitely.
If you get hungry, and you didn't like prepare, then you're screwed. So here it's like, to me, and I think beaches are like a very subjective thing. So I don't want to say this is like for everyone, but for me, it's like that perfect balance.
Yeah, so they're not like hounding you and like kind of just like trying to get as most out of you.
Yeah, I can't stand that. And I think it's like the Spanish are like really laid back, where like they almost like don't really care. Like they're like permanent siesta,
Awesome, that laid back kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, I like that. And what's funny, and it's a bit annoying, is siesta is a real thing.
Is it?
Yeah. So every day between I think like 2 and like 5, like stores just shut down.
Just like people just straight up napping.
Yeah, they just like they go home and sleep, or I don't know what they do. But and the problem is like that's the time that you were out trying to buy something, right?
Yeah, especially if you're like a tourist or something like that.
Yeah, and everything's just closed. Like they put up the gates. I was trying to get a SIM card, and people were like lined up at like 4:50, like for it to open back up again. Even restaurants, not every restaurant, but like a lot of restaurants close because they're like, oh, it's not lunch anymore, so they close from
so they don't think anyone else is gonna eat during that time.
And I'm like, man, I'm like, there's nothing to do in your city.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you have like a good nightlife, and
Yeah, if you like staying up super late, then places like that are great. But like, I don't know. For me, like, I don't like having dinner at like 11 p.m. But that's what you end up doing sometimes, just because there's nothing else to do. So Italy, I'm gonna write a blog post about that in the next couple of days. But Italy surprised me.
Did it?
It was amazing.
Like, what part of Italy were you going?
So I went to Pisa, and then I went to Rome. So Pisa, you pretty much just go there for the leaning tower.
Yeah,
a photo of it
just
here. You got to do the whole
cheesy
photo.
cheesy photo.
but good gelato, nice place. But Rome, which I'm going to write about on my blog this week, it was one of those places where it's so overcrowded, so many people, pickpockets, but it was so amazing that it's worth it.
What was like the scenery or just like the...
Like, it's the architecture, the food, like, it's so amazing, man. Like, when I say architecture, I'm not like looking at the, like, I don't know specifically about architecture, but just all the buildings,
just how
so
like the
amazing.
whole atmosphere is.
Yeah, okay, so the easiest way to describe it would be like in the middle of the pretty much wherever you walk, you have like these old like stuff that is worth like millions of dollars.
Yeah.
These old buildings, and instead of it being in a museum behind like 4 inches of glass, it's just there.
It's just there.
You can just like touch it.
It's like straight up real history, just like on there.
They just have so much stuff that they don't need to like put it behind like a rope. They're just like, whatever, we just have it.
It's already built in.
Yeah, and there's so much history. Like everything is so big. Like it's so gigantic. I can't even explain it. It's like compared to a monument that you see anywhere else in the world, it is like 10 times the size. And you're just like, man, and there's places that like aren't even like tourist spots that you just look at, you're like, man, if this was in another city.
Yeah, so like everywhere is pretty much
everywhere is beautiful. And the food is so good, man. Like if you're not on a diet,
carbs all the way.
The pasta is so good, dude.
Yeah.
I just like stop by this random place. I'll write about this in the blog post. Just people have like directions and stuff. But like I just randomly like found a place called like Pasta Mora or something, and their pasta, like they talk about al dente, which is like perfectly cooked noodles. I've never tasted al dente like truly until there. Like everywhere else, like it's good pasta, but this place is like, fuck, man.
Yeah, now I'm starting to crave some Italian food.
Yeah, but no more Italian food for me. I'm back in Chiang Mai, back on the diet,
getting the routine.
Yeah,
go on the grind,
and I like it. Man, I can't believe that's almost an hour.
Yeah, dang.
Time flies, right?
Time flies. I don't think we even went over the being an Asian American kind of aspect of it.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, I know. That's weird. Just going over these conversations.
So I want to say that like I forget sometimes. Until like other Asian American guys would come up to me and say, hey, Johnny, thank you for like inspiring me as like an Asian American. And I keep forgetting, not that I forget that I'm Asian. Yeah, but because I never talk about it, I kind of just like don't assume that other people like even realize it or like it's a factor. But I guess it is, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely, for me, it really just resonated because Johnny's story is, I think, a really universal story as being like a second or third generation American, being raised in the States. Your parents come from this impoverished country just trying to find a better life. I mean, it works for any like immigrant family, but I think Asian, the mentality that you have is that you're given the responsibility to work hard, go to school, and then have a good job with security and support your family, so you don't have to worry like about your future. And what Johnny, like how his life like turned out, he did that but didn't follow that traditional path that most of us are taught now.
Yeah, well, I did follow that path.
Well, I mean, yeah, he did, but like like later on in life, I mean, like
change it up.
Yeah, change it up, because how would it? I mean, it's a similar story for a lot of people. I mean, you go to school, get good grades, go to a good college, get a job, rise up in the ranks in the corporate world, have a nice pension, and retire off of that once you're like 60, whatever. I don't even know what the age now is, but and from there just coast and rinse and repeat. But I mean, if anything's told you about our last decade, nothing's secure, and you have to be changing as the world is changing.
But I do think that being like growing up with that Asian American mentality has a lot of benefits when it comes to like learning how to bootstrap.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. I mean, like an Asian, like the mentality you're taught is just you try to find the value in everything. Even if you can get it more conveniently, you still try to save as many pennies as possible, no matter how much you're making, really.
Yeah, it's funny because my income has gone up like significantly since I've been living in Chiang Mai. So 4 years ago I was making pretty zero.
Yeah.
And then I was making like $600 a month, then $1,000 a month, and then $26,000 a month. Right.
Yeah.
And from that shift, like not that much has changed. Like my spending habits, I think when I'm in Europe I was spending a lot more, but when I'm in Chiang Mai, like I'm still living in the same place now that I was when I was making like, let's say $5,000 a month. because this place is only like 400 something bucks, you know? So, but I love it. Like, there's like pretty much like nothing that I don't want to change. Like, I come back here and I'm so happy.
Yeah, you really don't have anything to really worry about.
Yeah, like food wise, I'm still eating at places that cost 30 baht or 50 baht, which is like $1.50.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just the value here is just so, just like, I don't know anywhere else, probably like somewhere in like South America, but I mean, the quality you get out of here is just, it's not that much different back home. It's just that you're not paying that premium.
Yeah, and I think like that, I just like enjoy value. And I was talking to my buddy Chris about this, and it's hard to explain. I don't know if other people like understand it as much as we do.
Yeah.
Like being Asian American, I think that's kind of the mentality, but also being like a guy, we just like love value.
Yeah.
Like
no,
it just
definitely
makes me happy.
Yeah, for me, it's just like, it's the same as if you were getting paid like money, just because you're, I don't know, taking advantage of the like whatever, just the advantage.
But not even like taking, I don't want to say taking
not
advantage.
taking advantage, but just like seizing the opportunity of just getting that, you know, you're getting more than you're giving, you know, kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, it sounds kind of bad, but I mean, I think growing up, because a lot of times, I mean, you're giving me, I'm like the youngest child, so I was given all the hand-me-downs, and like everything was like the off-brand of something. It was like not the brand of it, but it was like the off-brand just to save a couple bucks. But yeah,
You know, I never bought my first pair of Nikes until a month ago.
really,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So growing up, never could afford Nikes. So I would always buy like high tech,
Yeah.
or like whatever they sold
So
at
random, yeah,
yeah,
just
like whatever was
pay for less or something, just like whatever's on sale.
yeah, whatever was at Big Five in the weekly advertisement.
Same, yeah, pretty much. That was how my life was like up until high school. My parents just like once a year getting a pair of shoes from Big Five, whatever was on sale, and that was it. Like, and go to Marshalls or Ross to get my school's clothes, because I think my parents like, why would you pay full price if you can get it cheaper? You know? And
Yeah. So what's actually ironic is I think that pair of Nikes I bought, I bought 2 pairs in the last couple of months, and I threw out the first pair. I gave it to some homeless guy.
Why did you just? Oh, you're just giving.
I didn't realize they were so narrow.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And they're actually bad for your feet. And I think I want to write a blog post about this, because Nikes or just narrow shoes in general, they're so bad for your feet that it like, and the reason why I noticed it right away is because I was doing these walking tours every day, where you'd be like, or I'm like walking around a new city, and like you go home and your feet like, you know, are cramped together, and like it's bad for your posture, it's bad for your back, it's bad for your knees. Like people don't like realize that like the benefits of having either barefoot type shoes or like properly fitting like shoes.
Have you ever tried like Adidas? Like, because right now Adidas is just killing it with the comfort game on the shoes.
Yeah, well, all my shoes now are Adidas.
Yeah,
I was so pissed because. So what happened was I was in where was I? I think I was in Lisbon, and I was wearing a pair of like Adidas that I bought in Chiang Mai for like $50. And they were fine, right?
Okay.
But because I travel light, I have this thing where every time I buy something, I give something away, just so I'm not like constantly having extra stuff, right? So I walked into a Nike store, bought a pair of Nike Frees, which are supposed to be like their minimal style.
Yeah.
And I walked outside and I gave my Adidas to this homeless guy, and you know he was happy he got it. Put on the, I was wearing the Nikes. I was like, oh, these are awesome.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, that day, like I felt like, you know, after 4 hours of walking, I was like, man, these are really tight. But I was like, okay, they'll get looser.
They'll get break in kind of thing.
So a couple days later, I'm like, man, this is still like really bad, you know?
Yeah.
And then I went on their Nike website and I realized you can custom order like extra wide shoes. So I spent $150 ordering the custom wide ones. And then I got those, and then I gave away my other Nikes, even though they were like less than a month old.
Yeah.
You know, I gave those away to some dude at the bus stop, and then I started wearing these extra wide ones.
Yeah.
But dude, they're still like,
they're still pretty narrow. Even the widest ones are really narrow. I don't know what's with Nike on that. That's why I just pretty much just wear Adidas. You know, just whatever's like a sock-like kind of fit, some boost, and that's it. Because my feet are really wide too. It's like I had that problem with Nikes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get rid of these Nikes as well. I'm gonna go back to Adidas. So
Yeah, no, Adidas.
shout out to Adidas.
It's where it's at for the comfort.
Yeah,
especially for the wide feet.
Yep. Yeah. Random tangent we went on, but
yeah, that was just.
But you know what? I like this stuff because these are like things that we, you know, when people share like their knowledge, you know, and their experiences with other people, it's like, it saves us. Like if somebody, let's say I listened to some podcast where somebody was talking about how Nikes, you know, even the extra wide are too narrow and bad for your feet. I never would have spent, $250 buying 2 pairs and getting rid of them,
Yeah, definitely.
So this is exactly the reason why I like having this podcast is people mess up. We all mess up, and then we learn from it and we share it with the next person.
Yeah, for me, I think when I started listening to this podcast, that's what I kind of liked about it. It wasn't just, yes, it's about business, about how do you grow a business and live the free lifestyle, but it's also about just life in general, how to improve your life to the fullest. Don't go, you can hear about other people's mistakes and their successes, and it just, humbles you, and then, just teaches you, there are other ways to live.
Right, so not to put you on the spot, but are there any things that you've either learned from or any lessons that you want to share with other people, mistakes you've made, or tips that you've learned, somewhere else that you're like, this really helped me?
For me, I think don't fear failure or rejection. What all you can do is what you can do. What is what you can control, and that's yourself. Improve yourself, whether it's in relationships, business, just having, just overall good well-being. If you feel like good yourself, life will come after that.
I like it. That is solid advice, man. I really believe that.
And especially just for, I think, a lot of people around my age. I mean, this is, if I were to be in school right now, this would be my senior year, and this is the time where a lot of people are questioning, what they want to do, or where to take life from here on, because this is the real world from now on, And I just had to say, just like I said, just life is a marathon. It's not a race to be who has the nicest car, or who has, the whole, shebang back home, but just have value.
I saw that firsthand, man. I was lucky enough to hang out with a bunch of multimillionaires, but I was at that wedding in Ukraine.
Yeah,
and I could for sure I can tell you guys this, that having more money and having less time is not worth it. I really think that the kind of digital nomad lifestyle where we're achieving freedom of time first, and then having enough passive income where we can do what we want to do is way better than having just a ton of money and not having time.
Money is just a tool. Time is not, you can't gain that back.
Because a couple of the guys I met, I was like, oh, what are your plans now? They're like, oh, I gotta leave first in the morning because I gotta go to this meeting, or I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And I'm like, man, isn't that tiring, And he's like, yeah, luckily I have a private jet now, but even then it's still I'm always stressed out. I'm always flying back and forth.
Yeah, you're just chasing for some more time. That's it. I mean, that's why I just come to Chiang Mai, do this kind of thing, and free up some time.
Live like a millionaire on what, $1 million baht?
$1 million baht, yeah.
That's all you guys need, right?
Yeah, it's really not that. It's not like some far off thing. It's like Johnny said. It's not it's paid. It's been paved. It's not uncharted anymore. This is 21st century, 2016 set on to 17.
I like it. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm glad I'm back, and now that I'm back in Chiang Mai, promise you there's going to be weekly episodes again, because just like meeting Harold today, there are so many people I meet on a daily basis here that have a great story to share that we can learn from. In fact, the other guy sitting in Punt Space, I want to interview him next week because he's crushing it as well. So good job.
And I appreciate it. I'm honored to be on here, man. It's I don't know, for me, I see myself, hopefully in a couple of years, just be where you're at, and then hopefully more, And
you know what? People are listening right now are thinking, man, I want to be where Harold's at.
Yeah,
And how possible is it?
It's easy as just booking a ticket, Just taking that leap of faith, honestly.
I like it. So hope to see you guys out here, and peace out. See you next week.
All right, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.